name is Agbuya, and his talk is entitled Writing Clean Code Later is Never.
The key to achieving cleaner code and preventing code rot is having the habit of making small refactorings. Hi everyone, I'm Mark, and this is my first talk. I work at Service Seeking, which is a trades and services marketplace based in Australia, and our goal and our mission is to automate local services. There have been over 2 million jobs posted, which is worth over $2 billion. This is almost 70 billion pesos. And we have 130 businesses registered. We have contributed 7 million quotes. We have an office based in Sydney, and we have 2 offices based in Manila. And if you're wondering where my accent is from, my parents are Filipino, but I was born in Australia, so I'm sorry I can't speak any Tagalog. So there's a scenario that happens to a lot of us. We're assigned a small task, whether it be fixing a bug or writing a new feature, and it should only take a couple of hours to make. But then we encounter a block of messy code. And it slows us down. So we stop and we take time to read it and understand it. And we notice a few code smells in the code. And we could refactor it, but the thing is, we have to meet our deadlines, and so we don't. And sometimes we think, maybe it's not our responsibility to do it. It wasn't our code to begin with. Or, we promised to do it later. So we continue, and we add code to this tangle, and do whatever it takes to make it work. And then we move on and leave the code for someone else to fix. This code never gets clean. It gets worse over time. It starts to rot. And this negative feedback loop causes us to slow down and lose productivity. Eventually, we'll start missing our deadlines. So the problem with this is that we started with the word later. Later never happens. We sometimes forget, and we have more urgent priorities to deal with. Well, later equals never. This negative feedback loop, started by us deciding to do it later, is similar to the broken windows theory. It suggests that a single broken window in a regular house gives us a sense of neglect. And so a few more windows get broken. And eventually, the building becomes an abandoned mess. So if we plan to clean the code later, we're allowing these windows to be broken. So the sustainable solution is to build a habit of writing clean code. If we build a habit of writing clean code, we prevent breaking any windows and fix any broken windows that we come across, thus preventing code rot. So refactoring leads us to cleaner code. It's the process of recognizing a problem and then applying the necessary changes to fix it. And some of us already know a lot of these refactorings for various code smells. But sometimes this refactoring process is long and complex. And this makes it hard to build a habit. And it's not long and complex because we aren't good at refactoring. We don't need to focus on improving our factoring skills. We need to train to make it automatic. And the good news is that it's not that complicated. It's not as complicated as it may seem. So you can make something a habit if you make the change tiny enough. So we should start with easy refactorings. Choose something trivial, like deleting unused commented code, and make the commitment to do it whenever the opportunity comes. There are many techniques that make the code cleaner. There are many easy ones, and therefore we can repeat them and build the habit. And they all add up and accumulate to transform the code to have cleaner qualities. And we don't reach these qualities straight away, but little by little we approach these quality of having readable, straightforward, and changeable code in the most sustainable way, because we would have built little habits that will be hard to undo. And once we've established the habit of this simple refactoring, we can create more habits and improve on our refactoring skills. And eventually create more habits for these complex refactorings. So instead of aiming to write clean code straight away, this will be very hard. We should aim to build the habits that achieve these qualities. There's a behavior model by B.J. Fogg that describes how we achieve doing a new behavior. It requires a trigger, an ability, and motivation. So you need the trigger to tell us to write the clean code now. And our triggers are the code smells. When we encounter a code smell, our brain tells us, oh, you should fix this now. But we also need the ability to fix it. We need the ability to make the refactoring and solve the problem. And sometimes this is easy, but sometimes it's hard and time-consuming. And lastly, we need the motivation to make the fix. We need to want to clean the code. But the thing is, our motivation fluctuates. So the behavior model says that we need all these three things together. So if you detect the code smell, you know how to fix it, and you have enough motivation, you'll do the refactoring. So it makes sense that if the refactoring is easy, you only need a little bit of motivation to do it. But if the refactoring we're trying to accomplish is hard and difficult, you're going to need lots of motivation to do it. And writing this perfect code is pretty hard. And if we're asked to write it all the time, we might have the skills, but eventually our motivation will drop. And if our motivation drops, we don't repeat the refactoring, which means that we won't be able to build a habit because the habits rely on repetition. So if the change is tiny, no matter what level of motivation we have, we'll always be able to do it. We'll repeat it, and we'll be able to form the habit. So to make these small refactorings, we need to be able to detect the code smell, and we need to know the appropriate fix for it. Now I'm going to go through some simple, super easy techniques that I think make the code a little bit cleaner. And you probably already know them, but I wanted to demonstrate how they accumulate, resulting in much cleaner code. Anyone know Sudoku? Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with Sudoku, it's a puzzle where you start off with a grid like this, and you use logic and the process of elimination to fill it out, so that each row, each column, And each 3 by 3 subgroup contains the digits 1 to 9 without repeating. This particular board is invalid. In the top left corner, we have 2 2s in the segment. So we want a method that takes a board like this, a 9 by 9 array of rows, and returns whether it's valid or not. And here's some code that does just that. Take some time to read it. Take notice of the things that you like and the things that you don't like. What code smells do you sense? So let's go through this solution. We start off with a temporary variable valid and default it to true. And as this comment tells us, we iterate through each of the sections of the board and we make valid false if any of the sections, if it doesn't contain the set of 1 to 9. And lastly, we return valid. So the first thing we ask ourselves is whether this code is worth refactoring. I think the code is pretty decent. It's not too long, and we're lucky there's not a mess of nested conditionals that we have to deal with. But there are a few code smells that I sense. We also need to ask ourselves, is this code going to change? Is it one-off code? And recently I discovered that there are actually a few variations of Sudoku. There's mini Sudoku, mega Sudoku, and even irregular Sudoku. So I think this code could possibly change in the future, which makes it a good candidate for refactoring. So when I look at this, the first thing that comes out to me is this bit of commented out code. Why is this here? It confuses, it doesn't add anything, and it confuses any future readers as to why it's there. So if there's commented out code, I usually delete it. And I think this is a pretty safe move, and we have source control if we ever need it back. The code becomes a little bit cleaner. When I first started coding in Ruby, one of the first things my mentor taught me was that comments were a little bit of a code smell. If you needed a comment to explain a bit of code, then the code wasn't clear enough. And here's a comment that does just that. But before we remove it, we have to make this code a bit more readable. So as the comment tells us, this is the section of the board. These are the sections of the board. But how can board be a section of the board? And what's board.transpose? In this particular case, board just happens to be an array of rows, and so we can use board again, which makes board.transpose the columns. But this might not be clear at first glance. So when a computation result isn't intuitive, I extract a method that labels it. And so we can do that by creating a new method rows, and then use the new method. And this new method might seem redundant. It's just returning board. But it's just because of the coincidence that board happens to be an array of rows. If board were to be, for example, a single dimensional array with 81 digits, then this computation would be different. And now the section of the board is easier to understand. And so we can do the same for the columns, create a new column method, and then use a new column method. Next, I want to visit this conditional. What is it checking? This actually checks whether the board contains a set of 1 to 9. And it took a little bit of reading to get there. But when the intent of conditional isn't intuitive, I usually extract a method that makes it straightforward. And so I extracted this method contains all 9. But when I got this code reviewed by my peers, there were some concerns about this contains all 9 method. So what's wrong with it? It seemed pretty obvious to me. But in isolation, it actually could be misinterpreted. Contains all 9 what? Does it just contain all 9s? So when I encounter ambiguous method names, I rename it to be a bit more precise. And so we paired programmed, and we came up with contains all digits from 1 to 9. This helps specify that it contains digits, and that they're from 1 to 9. However, what if we gave it a section like this? This definitely contains all the digits from 1 to 9, but it also contains 10, 11, and 12. So this is inaccurate. It could be misinterpreted. We then came up with is a set of 1 to 9. And this describes our condition perfectly. And we could have stopped here, but we decided to go up a level of abstraction and try out a method named valid section. And this hides the details of the conditional that we're thinking about. And it also means that for whatever Sudoku type of game that we're building, that we're checking, we can use the same valid solution algorithm. And so we thought this was a good idea, and so we used it. And we renamed contains all 9 method to valid section. And this makes that little bit of code a bit more clear, which makes this code, this comment a bit redundant. And so when a comment is redundant and states the obvious, I just remove it. So let's delete it here. There we go. And now we have a method that's looking pretty decent. However, there's still one last thing that's nagging me about this code. It's the valid variable and the each loop. When I see temporary variables and loops, there's usually a handy and more expressive Ruby enumerables method that we could use. And so when there's an algorithm that can be replaced with something more expressive and still happens to be the same efficiency, we can replace it. And so the method that applies here is enumerables all method. It returns true if for the supplied condition, if the supplied condition is true for all the elements in the array. And so we replace each with all and remove the temporary variable. And now our solution reads almost like English. For the rows, columns, and subgrids, are they all valid sections? And I argue that this is more readable and easy to understand. So we started off with a method like this. And through little refactorings, we managed to be able to get it to something like this. This is more human readable and will help us be more productive. And doing these refactorings also show us the opportunities for even further and more complex refactorings. Perhaps we could take out a Sudoku board class and give it the rows, columns, and subgrids. But for this talk, we'll just leave it at that. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should refactor every single piece of code that you encounter to look like this. But I wanted to demonstrate that if you made these small, tiny refactorings a habit, eventually your code will reverse its code log and start to look cleaner, and could end up like this. So in order to maintain this habit, there's just one last thing we need to do. We need to create an motivating and sustaining team environment that motivates us to continue writing this clean code. We should do 3 things. 1, we need to establish the importance of writing clean code. At service seeking, we've established some dev values that we iterate and remind ourselves about. And one of those values is code for others. And this means that we acknowledge and recognize that our code represents our respect for the craft, our respect for the product, and our respect for our coworkers. Second thing we need to do is communicate our clean code standards and preferences. Every team will have different preferences on what they think clean code should look like. And so in the end, we should write the code that enables our entire team to be productive. We can communicate these clean code standards through code reviews and by commenting on a pull request, or through pair programming sessions. And at Service Seeking, we also have a code discussion channel where we can discuss these sort of issues. And the third thing we need is to reward and recognize clean code. And the way we can do this is by using comments in code reviews. If you come across a piece of code that's clean, easy to understand, you should say something good about it. So instead of saying, oh, this is good to go, you can merge it, or giving a thumbs up emoji, you should say something like, oh, this code looks really clean and nice to understand, good job. And this reinforces the habit and gives us the motivation to keep it up. So if you have this team environment, we'll be able to maintain this habit. And then our code will become cleaner over time. This means we can avoid code rot and meet our deadlines and ship products. So if you stumble across some code that slows you down and is difficult to understand, you should refactor it. Try to make it straightforward. Or if you're about to create a pull request and merge some code into the main code base, you should double check and make sure that code is up to standard. Make sure that you're not breaking any windows. If you need to refactor, start with something small. This refactoring should only take you a few minutes. You shouldn't leave it for later, because later equals never. And if you can't afford the 10 minutes it takes to perform this small refactoring, then you won't be able to afford the hours it'll take the next developers that try to read it. Thank you.
Floor is open for questions. Go ahead, there are mics in the center of the room as well.
I totally 100% agree with the spirit and content of what you said. But sometimes it's hard when you do that and then other people push back and say, hey, that's not important, you're so obsessive. How do you respond to that?
I mean, that's where it comes to establishing the importance of clean code within the team and establishing our preferences and communicating that to each other. Usually you're able to, if you're able to justify it through hard examples, then you could get through that. And the thing is, yeah, if there's a clean coder in a group and a team of messy programmers or a team that doesn't care, and eventually that programmer will lose motivation. So yeah, I think it's about team communication and really communicating our preferences and showing the trade-offs that each have. Because clean code is not a definition, it's a bit of a preference. So yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hi. Sometimes I find when refactoring, sort of more formatting at the same time as making other changes, it clutters up like the single commit or a change you're doing, because you're sort of combining a refactor with maybe some new code. But often the best time to do it is when you're already in there. Do you find you separate them, or do you just combine them and not worry about it? Have you ever dealt with that?
Yeah.
You know, like white space changes are some of the worst cases, but
Yeah.
it's worse with the refactoring.
Yeah. Well, if the refactoring's small, usually I don't mind it. I just include it within the commit that I'm currently on. I mean, if there's a bigger refactoring, I might stash my current changes and then make the refactoring, or even pull out a new branch and get that code reviewed separately. But yeah, usually for smaller changes like white space, I just leave it in. It might clutter up the pull request, but yeah, I usually just skip through that. So yeah.
Hey Mark, in your experience, what worked for you? What things worked for you in making code review a seamless, integral part of development, as opposed to something that, you know, stops momentum for other developers so that they could just read code, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely was an issue that we had at Service Seeking a while ago. When we first started doing code reviews, it kind of stopped that process, and we're like, oh, we need this code review, but no one could manage to read it. The thing is, I think, like, the cleaner your code is, the easier it'll be to code review. So that kind of adds, that kind of helps. But also, at Service Seeking, we have a culture of peer code review. So it's not just the higher ups or like the top level devs that are doing code review, but all of us code review each other's code, and even the junior devs review the senior devs code, and that allows us to build our knowledge of what clean code practices are, and then make changes that are clean. So yeah, that's what helps out code review process. But there's probably a longer discussion there about how we can help improve our code review process. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right, thank you. And oh, there's one more. Sorry.
So refactoring is often a concept that comes with another concept that is, well, they come hand in hand with another concept, which is testing.
Yes.
So, of course, it's not part of your talk, it's about refactoring. Can you give us a couple of guidelines on how you do testing in the context of refactoring?
Well, yeah, if you follow the TDD, then you have the test already there. And so whatever refactoring changes you make, you can verify them easily. But I do recognize that there are some times where we don't have tests yet, and that stops us from refactoring. That's almost like a separate topic altogether. But we can almost use the same techniques that I talked about here about building habits to write tests. These tests are important. And so instead of writing, like, when I started working at Service Seeking, there were no tests at all. Or they weren't being used or looked at. So we tried writing tests for the entire system. But, you know, it was really hard. And we had to build the experience to learn how to write tests. But now we, you know, yeah, you can apply the behavior techniques and, you know, start with a small test. Start with one test. You know, you might not test an entire module that's untested, but if you can test one part of it, then that adds up. And then you build your experience, other people see the test and continue to add on it. So, yeah, testing in general, like having tests and losing tests is, sorry, writing tests for code that doesn't have tests is probably a whole other topic. We can discuss that later. So, but yeah, that's.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So if you like these characters, we have stickers at our Service Seeking booth, so come along. We're also hiring, so yeah, give us a shout. All right, thanks.